ALL FOR UNITED WFC. Hello and welcome to ALL FOR UNITED with me, John Foster, WFC. Something slightly different tonight. We've actually got a show dedicated to our academy team, and not just for the sake of it. For those of you who don't know what's going on, it is the final, the academy team final on Wednesday, 6 p.m. Great news, and obviously United are in it. And today we're going to be joined by Natalie, who can obviously talk to us all day long about the Man United devs. I don't think I know anyone else who knows more about the devs or anything Man United women related than that. So really good to have Natalie on. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate.
I know how passionate you are about the devs, and it's going to be great to listen to this one. And repping some of the Birmingham players will be Harry. How you doing, mate? You okay?
I'm all good, mate. Yeah, all good. Ready to go.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Just so everyone knows, Harry obviously isn't a coach at Birmingham, but he does coach two of the players who are eligible to play. So we'll get into that shortly. And we'll also talk a little bit about the importance of academies, as well as talk about a few players as well. Allow to join in the comments. I'll put your comments on the screen as always. But yeah, let's just make a start. So this week, obviously, when you're thinking about Man United women, there's only one thing that comes to mind, and that's obviously the devs final, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if you were speaking to me, but yeah. They played yesterday in the league, beat Arsenal. Arsenal is probably, I've seen us play against a lot of teams, Villa, Chelsea, Liverpool. I've not actually seen us play against Birmingham. The first time I saw us play against Birmingham was a while ago when Freya, who now is on loan at Leicester, so that's how long ago I saw them play Birmingham, and that was a really tough game when we played them. But if you look at the league table, Villa's up there, Everton's up there, obviously we're up there. We've only lost one game all season, and that's across the cups. So that's how we're in the final. But yeah, we played Chelsea in the cup and in the league. We beat them. We played City. We've beaten them. And yesterday, I'd say it was our toughest test so far. It was against Arsenal. It was a 2-0 win, though. But it was really they really gave us a test. I know they play a lot of they played championships teams before the devs, and won against I don't know if I can tell which team. Well, Blackburn. I think everyone knows. You can go back and look over Charlotte Healy's tweets. So they are up there, R21s, and they're now bringing up. A lot of 16-year-olds played yesterday. So the under 16s won the league, and a lot of them are getting called up. Megan Schofield scored a lot of goals for the under 16s, top goal scorer for the under 16s in the whole country. So yeah, I'm excited for the final. It's going to be really good.
Absolutely, yeah. And 19 points between them in the league from what I've just seen, and that is massive, isn't it? After 15 games, it just shows how strong United are. And it's going to be interesting as well, yeah. Harry, all good. Obviously, I don't know if you actually follow the league table and stuff like that, but just what are your thoughts first of all of United in the sense of they've come into the league and they broke into top 4 in the senior team, got a very strong academy. How do you think that they're doing currently?
I think, to be honest, like you say, if you can have a really strong first team and academy to back it up and a development team to back it up, then it speaks volumes. I think for where the club's kind of going, and what ambition you can kind of have between the two. If you share that philosophy all the way down into from a first team to an academy, that you all want to succeed, and then you go about doing that as well. That could really, really push you on. Obviously, you can have a great finish to the season, and then can try build on that in years to come as well. So yeah, I think the more you can push that ambition throughout the whole club, and especially with multiple teams doing the same thing, representing one club, then yeah, it can really, really push you on.
Yeah, that definitely. Yeah, Ian, that is correct as well. Your comment, that is the position that we're in, which is unfortunate because I know originally it was supposed to have been played in April in a different stadium in Loughborough. Things changed, and there it's obviously this Wednesday instead. They brought it forward, and it's at St George's Park. So that is a bit of a shame there. Well, what we'll do is we'll start off with a couple of Birmingham players first. That's why you're on the show. We're just going to talk a little bit about two strikers that I've been watching. Obviously, you've been more than watching. You've coached them. You're there week in, week out. I know that you've got to be very careful what you say. I really appreciate that. But we'll talk about Connie Dutton and Hannah Fishwick, two real good strikers. I know you've got to be careful what you say, Harry, but I don't need to. As a fan, I can say what I want. And from what I've seen, Connie, since she's been with us, very strong. We call them game changers, don't we? That's but players who come off the bench and make an immediate impact. Connie does that. She did that yesterday. Hannah always could be potentially in the first starting 11 as well. Just what are your thoughts on those two players?
Yeah, so for people that aren't aware, they obviously play for the Blues Devs. They also unlock a dual, almost like a loan deal with us at Starbridge. So it obviously gives them a great chance to play a lot more football. And to be honest, the pair of them are absolutely brilliant. Both physically on the ball, technically, but they're also two great people as well. They've settled in really well. You literally speak to any of the girls at the club that obviously we're at the moment, and they can make them laugh. They have a great time with them. So they come as you always see them together as well. They obviously come as a pair. We always say they rock up to train at the same time. They leave at the same time. It's good though. You know what I mean? They settled in really, really well. And as you say, John, really, really talented footballers. To be honest with you, yeah, they really got a bit about them. To be honest, despite how young they are. So potential-wise, it's crazy. Yeah, they're really good players.
How do they find being in two clubs? Obviously, we talk a lot on this channel about dual contracts and loans and the importance of that. But how do they find it? Because obviously, I guess they spend a couple of days of the week at Stour, and then they go to Birmingham. Is that right? Another 2 days and potentially play in either?
Yeah. So just because they train with us doesn't mean they don't train with Birmingham. Obviously, the same with playing. So especially I think for people that are 17, not even touching 18 yet, it can be tough, alongside any kind of education or anything they might be doing, or jobs and things like that at the same time. So it's tough, I think, if you was 18 plus, or if you was mid-20s, 30s, to kind of juggle all that at the same time. Mm-hmm. But I mean, they handle it well. They show up because they want to play football. They do the same with Blues. It's the case of they enjoy it and they're playing it. So if you can carry on playing as much football as you can at that age, it only makes you better and better and better. So I think at the moment it's really benefited them to be able to play a lot of football, really, to be honest.
Yeah, I just want to come in and just say that's, I suppose, one advantage that Birmingham have. A lot of their younger players have been called up. The keeper came off the bench when Rambo was sent off in Leicester. She played that sort of basically the whole 90 minutes, and then obviously they've got the two strikers playing at Stourbridge. I mean, we've done the dual contract with two of ours, but I don't think they really got on. It was Chloe Williams, who had a couple of games at Blackburn, and Saf Middleton Patel, who's actually been for Arsenal. She was on the bench for us and was on the bench a couple of times at Blackburn. So that's the one thing I do say, Birmingham players probably have that advantage in that they've been exposed to more first team probably than ours. And when we talk about first team, we know Karna's, come on for that short period at Bridgewater. Neve Murphy's been on the bench in and around. We know that Maria Edwards is trained up. I know Poppy Lawson's trained up. So we do know that they are doing those things. But I suppose Birmingham, Stour, being on dual contracts. I don't know if they've been with you most of the season, Harry. But that'll be they've got that edge, I suppose, in that respect.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, both from near the start of the season, just after the start of the season, to be honest with you, Hannah came first, Connie shortly after. But like you say, it gives them a chance to play a load of football. Whether they start, whether they come off the bench, especially in the league at the moment with us, it's still roll on, roll off. So, we can monitor their game time really, really well. We know we can give them 30 here, 60 there, 90 there, depending. We can really manage that. And it gives us a better relationship than, I say, with clubs like Blues, where we can look after your players. It's not a case that we're going to run them into the ground so they're knackered when they play for Blues or anything like that. We can genuinely look after them, nurture them, give them as much minutes as they can, without obviously running them straight into the ground. So yeah, it's good to have that kind of relationship.
100%, yeah, absolutely. We've got Landon in the comments saying, I think Maria needs a loan on a WSL if we can't get them in the team. I agree. I think it should have happened this season potentially, but maybe Skinner just wanted to have a look at her, see what's what. Stuart saying Carla Solskjaer and Maria Edwards should be in the squad next season. It's a lot around the two strikers, and I get it because obviously Carla's tearing it up there and Maria's tearing it up. Go on, that.
Yeah, Lansell just makes a comment about Poppy, and she's our centre back. She's played. I don't know if I just froze then. Sorry. She played basically a lot. She's ever, if you ever watch the DEVS, I mean, everyone's going to be able to watch it on Wednesday, and I'd highly recommend everyone tuning in. But if you ever watch it, that's the voice you always hear coming throughout. She's basically, you can hear Charlotte telling her, and when they have a break, she's sort of leading the huddle, and that leadership, I think. I mean, the last game against Arsenal, she was just dominating it, and I would like to see her get a run out, whether it's on the bench for us or like we're talking about, getting loans, getting these dual contracts. I mean, I think Maria definitely needs some kind of dual thing. Definitely. I mean, I'd like to see them in, Leicester or something like that. Leicester just loaned one of Villa's players. So for me, I'd like to see it. But then, it's hard. I mean, I suppose, Harry, what do you think? Because you've got them, and then the levels of like each step up. So Stour are in what, tier 4?
5 at the moment.
5 at the minute, sorry. And what do you think then for Birmingham and these two girls that you've got? Like, because we're out here talking about we want United players to be in the Championship, but it is a massive step up from like under 21s to Championship, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be a challenge regardless. And, like you say, even though we're tier 5, we've got our own, obviously, challenges in that league. One player or two players isn't going to win you a league, so to speak. Obviously, you've got to do it as a whole team, a whole club. Having Connie and Hannah really, really help us, obviously, in terms of achieving our ambition. Ultimately, we think we should be playing in, the higher divisions of like tier 4 and Women's National League. So, for us, they fully take on board these ideas and take on, our own ambitions. Of course, they've got their own goals to come and obviously play football and, better themselves and better their, chances of getting into a blue squad. But that's not to say they don't come and, not care about what we want to do or what we've, our achievements and ambitions that we've got already. We had a great FA Cup run this year, reaching obviously, even further in terms of our history. And now we're very much a part of that. And that's, you can clearly see when it was happening and whilst we was playing that, they cared about everything that was going on. So, yes, although personally, they'd probably like to be able to, carry on and pursue higher things at Blues. But, it's really good to see they take on our own ambitions as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a massive part of it. When any player goes out on loan, they've got to care, haven't they? So it's about both clubs. It's not just about their career, or else they won't get good game time. Well, it's simple as that. I will kind of wrap up on the Birmingham in a bit, but Nat, I know what this answer is going to be, and you're probably going to laugh when I tell you in the most respectful way. Are you scared of Birmingham in any sense? Can you see anything there, or what are your thoughts?
Me, yeah.
Yeah, go on, Nat. Yeah.
Obviously, you got to respect them. They got all the way to the final. They're our opposition. I think they beat Man City on the way there. But in terms of, am I scared? No, I think we have our expectations. We know what we need to do as a group. I'm speaking like it's the first team, but no, it is like that to me. And, like I said, yesterday was the hardest game I've seen. The best level team that we've come against, that was Arsenal, and we still sort of, in my opinion, very in control of the ball a lot. Chances, we should have probably scored 2-0, sort of flattered Arsenal, but then they did have their chances. So Harry's got the two blue strikers. I'm sure they're going to make play, it's about us being strong and being able to come against them, because they're playing, first team football. It's that style, but they've got that experience that we haven't got. So I think it's going to be very interesting how they use that experience, because a lot of them as well have played or been in and around WSL a lot more than us. So it is good for Blues in that respect. I just want to, suppose, touch on a few names that, Harry, you mentioned your FA Cup run, and I know that you played against Sheffield United, who are in the Championship, and we've loaned a lot of players. I mean, I've seen people, Lanzell, saying loan to Villa and all that. And, Carla Ward has played a lot of our players at Sheffield and all that kind of thing. And I think Tara Bourne played that game. But then there's two strikers there at Sheffield, and just like to get your opinions on them. Mia Enderby and Lucy Watson, because obviously you saw them firsthand. I think did Mia get a goal that game, or was it Lucy that got the goal?
Yeah,
Lucy got the goal.
Yeah. I mean, like you say, it's, for us, obviously, it was a completely different challenge of like going from Tier 5 to playing a team in Tier 2, Championship football. So, we'd achieved, what we wanted to achieve, and then it was a case of, for us, well, how far can we go? How far can we take it to get, draw Sheffield United at home? We were amazed and excited for it. But like you say, it's a prime example for, from Sheffield United's perspective to go, right, we can give academy development and younger players a chance. And they shone, they did shine, like, not to say we didn't obviously shine either, but, it's good to see. We've got our own younger players then that were stepping up and playing in the same team, same game, against, a Championship side that were also playing young players. So it's a good contest to see, the good chance that far stage into, that later stage into an FA Cup competition, that younger players were still getting a chance. So yeah, like you say, it's really, really good to see, really enjoyable to see development team players and youth players really getting a chance at a big stage.
Yeah. We speak a lot on this show about the physicality between leagues as well. And just following on from that point there, that Sheffield game, and I don't want to turn it into Sheffield, but we do speak about Lucy Watson a fair bit on here, and obviously you've seen her in the flesh as well when she played you. Can you see that? Was that like the main difference for you in that game where you played Sheffield United? Was it the physicality, or was it the fact that there was potentially more well drilled because the train more often and it's like a 5-day week kind of thing? Or what do you think the main difference is?
Yeah, I mean, like you say, when in terms of training 5 days a week or having like a big program, obviously that will always help. Obviously having a massive establishment like that, it's great. But to be honest, I think when a game like that, you can go down to a number of factors. I think we might have had 1 or 2 errors leading up to a goal at one point, but then at the same time, you can take a step back and you can see obviously the quality of it sometimes. We always, we're very critical of ourselves, and we have in terms of our standards, we rate ourselves, really quite high. So when regardless of whether a Championship player scores a goal, we will still take a step back and go, well, how could we have done better with that? We've got footage to look at, we've got things to analyse, and so we'll always, be analytical of it, regardless of whether we're playing someone in Tier 5, Tier 6, or even the Championship. So I think it can have a factor, of course, if they're how many leagues higher, then it's going to impact it sometimes. But that's not to say that we're critical of ourselves either. We really like to be able to work on ourselves, and when you see goals coming in like that, it helps us to be better. And I think obviously in the long run, playing teams like that and even conceding goals like that can sometimes help us to become even better.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. We saw when Staveley played West Bromwich Albion, there was leagues apart, and it's just a shame because Staveley don't get tested like that week in, week out. So I get it, absolutely, yeah. Anyway, Lanza's got a good comment in here, and we can discuss this as well, and that's about the FA player showing it. It's definitely a positive, isn't it? At one point we thought, we're going to be relying on text messages from Rich Laverty or maybe in my case, Mike Harris, who's going to be at the game as well. And thankfully, Lisa's broadcasted. So that is great news, isn't it, Nat?
Yeah, it's good because I didn't think that they would be doing that. I thought, I don't know. I just think it's good because I don't think we've ever seen it. We don't think we've ever seen an under-21 game broadcast. So I think it's a step in the right direction. It's about growing a game. I know a lot of people always messaging when we're playing. They want to see the goals. They want to see the highlights. And now a lot of people are going to be able to watch the whole game, and it's good. It's giving the exposure to the kids, because then I think when they do get called up, I think there was a lot of fanfare around when Kana made a debut at Bridgewater. It was only 10 minutes, but next minute, it was in every paper up and down the country, and, in Norway papers in there and everywhere. So I think, it's giving them that exposure now, giving them that exposure early. There's a lot of people, a lot of people are going to watch it in Mexico, Brazil, India, obviously the UK. I think it's going to be a really good lot of people watching. So yeah, it's good for these kids to get that exposure. I'm excited.
100%, yeah. Lando, this comment here, I was going to rephrase it a little bit just because I don't want to leave Harry in an awkward position here. But just talk to us a little bit about your thoughts on Birmingham as a whole, Harry.
I mean, to be honest, like we obviously we're very grateful to him. I think Mike Harris, the head coach at Stourbridge, who I work with, we've got a great connection with them because he obviously works in the setup there himself as well. So it allows us to kind of build a relationship with them, and up to the point where they trusted us with players. I think 2-3 years ago, if we we built this relationship up and built this reputation up as a club to be able to communicate with teams like Blues. But you have to support and be grateful for clubs like that to support the women's game, not just trying to push their own ambitions as a club or trying to be the best, biggest club in in the ladies' game. They're all still trying to help clubs like us and other clubs as well, I assume. So, a club like Blues is, is brilliant for that. Brilliant for young players. Obviously, the prime example with the two girls that are with us. You can only really be thankful, to be honest. You can that automatically gives them any kind of boost. And, from our perspective, we have to big teams up like that because they can help us out. So it's good to see. Yeah.
Awesome. So you mentioned Poppy and that. Obviously, we mentioned Cardiff and everyone, Marie Redges as well. What other players should we be looking out for, and who can we expect to see in the starting 11, perhaps?
Polly Watson, that's one I'd definitely look out for. She plays in the central midfield. She played at right back the other day, but I think she's probably going to step back into midfielder for the final. She is, Charlotte Healy mentioned her, name dropped her to Emma Sanders after the semi-final against Villa. And for me, she is absolutely class player. Everything about the way she moves the ball, tight spaces, turns, the way she can spray the ball, it's amazing. I think a lot of people already know the name Rebecca May. She did make a debut for us in that COVID. I think it was the COVID season against Reading away. So she's had a bit of exposure. Chloe Williams had exposure as well. Been on the bench a couple of times, City, Chelsea. But I'd say as well, Megan Schofield, Amelia, or I can't say her name, Orrod. Those are two players who are very key in the under-16s winning the league, the RTC league for the North. So it's for me, Megan, she's got about 15 appearances and it was about 30 goals. I know it sounds crazy, but that's how many goals she's scoring. And what's been happening is they've been bringing her on for 45 minutes. So pretty much start with, your Karnas, your Maz. I don't think Karna's going to play because she's not played the last two games. When I've seen her, she's been in a full tracksuit. But, if you just come in to watch Karna, don't bother watching kind of thing. Because obviously there's more to... Everyone wants Karna to do well, but there's more to Man United women than just Karna Solskjaer. But yeah, I'm excited because I'm like I said, one loss all season. It was against Everton. I just want to touch on Stuart's comment about why Man United TV not showing it. I think they would be, but FA Player got it. That's the only difference. It's not case of hammering on United. And I think potentially United's persistence with it is why it's on FA Player. So I know a lot of people like to bash United, but I think they've done the right thing here. It's going to be shown. You're going to be able to watch it. We know that they've been promoting it a lot more. They let us know it was a change. It's looking likely that they're going to sort of do like some kind of live reporting via the Twitter, all that kind of stuff is positive. So, I mean, let's not slag off United because, like you say, I think even Skinner was saying about like sort of when we went down to Bridgewater and the reach that we have, we're talking about an under-21 women's game getting shown on FA Player and the amount of people that are going to watch around the world. I'm not just saying no disrespect to Blues, but I think United have brought a lot of that. So they've done well, I suppose. And it's different. It's weird. I don't know. I suppose let's hear from Harry. What do you think of the fact that, Man United are in the league? I know it's something we ask a lot of people. I know you sort of mentioned it, but it has brought a bit of exposure, isn't it? And I mean, now, like I said, I'm so happy it's on. People are getting to see it because I think they're amazing, our 21s. But it's sort of being normalised now. That I feel.
Yeah, I think it's really good to see that, levels of exposure are filtering down regardless of, it doesn't have to be WSL, or, FA Cup competitions or League Cup competitions. It's filtering down for not just clubs in lower tiers, but also clubs in lower, like youth systems. So you're not always seeing your first team week in, week out. You get a chance to see, like say, your 21s and your developments. And I think, even for people who just mainly watch the first team or mainly, have a certain interest in only, first team games or WSL games, for example, it gives you a great opportunity, like you say, to be able to watch something slightly different. And you get to see the different levels of it, the different abilities of it. You get to see younger players that really want to push for first team football. A great chance for them to do it. It's a great platform to do it. So yeah, I think the more investment into this, into ladies football is getting that exposure, and it's really, really good to see.
So that's the players now. How about the managers? What are your thoughts on Charlotte Healy? We've got Lansley in the comments saying, asking a little bit about the style of play. What's your thoughts on Charlotte and her playing style?
Charlotte, like Skinner's. Yeah, it is kind of a bit like Skinner's, but then I think that's credit to her. She's had to sort of change it because I think under Casey it's very much like Casey's. So I think you got to shout out these. Now she's doing a lot more work with the first team and everything, like coaching in terms of that aspect. And I think she's an absolute credit to this club. I think the fact that not just the ones that have had exposure in the first team, but the ones that have then moved on, they're sort of all in sort of championship kind of levels, making sure that they're all right, making sure they've got clubs, keeping in touch with them. We still have some of the girls that are in championship coming to watch. So, it is important, I think. And I think she's filtering down those values. Like I said, Harry just talked then about the pathway. She's bringing up under 16s. Obviously, we want to see more in the first team. I think we're going to keep on pushing. And, we were talking about Maria not getting loaned out, but I think she's potentially not getting loaned out because we, Skinner wants to see her more. So the fact that she can train up and all that kind of thing, it is good. But no, I think she's really instilled a will, determination into them from when she came in 2019 to now. It's just so drilled. And when I say playing out from the back, there was a goal they scored against Chelsea, and I think it was 5 passes and it was in the net. And that's 5 passes from the keeper. So it's the playing out from the back, but it's putting confidence in those girls because we talked about Poppy, but we're talking about Neve and Kana and just the way that I've seen them grow into themselves, not rushing them, not, people are talking about this one needs to bulk up and that one. It's not about that. It's about, I suppose, call it the DEVS because it's development football and I know it's not really the devs anymore, it's under 21s, but it is that kind of thing. And, you know, Charlotte, I think she's having a lot of influence on the whole pathway. So it goes under 16s, under 21s, but I think there's going to be an under 19 soon. And it's that kind of thing that we need, because I think there does need to be a path, more steps for me, in my opinion. I've always said it for a while. So I think if there's an under 18s, under 19s somewhere, 16s, 18s, 21s kind of thing. But I think it's always going to be tough, because I think if we look at our first team, we're thinking 7 cup finals to get Champions League. So is Skinner going to call up a young one? I don't know. I'd like him to, because I feel like they're ready, even if just 10 minutes at the end. You know, maybe we might see someone versus Villa. I mean, that's when it was originally supposed to be, that Villa game, and we were all planning to go on the bus from Manchester to Loughborough, watch the under 21s, and then go to Villa game after. But maybe now there's not a game, it's been moved, we'll be able to call some of them up for that game. I'd like to see Maz, like to see Neve again, but actually I'd like to see Neve come on. You know, Neve's playing under 19s. Polly Watson's played under 19s for England. We've got under 17s, Jess Simpson, Kira Berry. We've got Karna, who's playing under 19s now for Norway. For me, it's you know, I don't know. I suppose just ask me the question, but you know, it's going to be interesting, because a lot of them are over 19 now as well, and you know, they'll be wanting to play first team football. So be interesting to see what happens with a lot of them, and hopefully, like, Skinner gives them a chance. But yeah, he's obviously got his own pressures of first team.
That's the Professor. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Nat, you mentioned something there. I want to bring Karen. You was on about the steps. So obviously introduced under 19 level, and this is a great question for yourself, and it brings us on to our last topic as well, about the academies and the different steps. Hello, Connor, in the comments. Obviously, this is the same Connor that goes to watch Stowbridge as well, so he obviously knows who you are, Harry. Yeah, so just talk to us about the steps and that you think is the right way of doing things. So, you know, you could compare this to Birmingham, Stowbridge, United, or just your own thoughts. How do you think it should be set up in regards to age groups?
Yeah, well, from a Starbridge perspective, we call ours the women's section. Obviously, they include your first team. We've also got a development team, or the devs, like you say, and 18s, and then that obviously goes down into the younger ages. Then your 16s, your 14s, your 12s. We also have obviously the academy set up as well, which is more like I mentioned Mike earlier, who obviously he's also head of the academy as well. That's also channels your football through your education. So I think all of it's important. I think the more steps you can have within one club, and the clubs will run it slightly differently. Some won't have a devs and have a 21s, like you say, or obviously they give or take around about the same kind of level of steps. But they're really, really important. I think if you're going to invest in ladies football, I think the more setups you can have within one club, the better. Again, from like a Starbridge point of view, some players in the local area, or some girls or ladies in the local area might look and go, well, I like football, but I can't really see myself being step 5 just yet. But we've got a development team that's, obviously only a couple of steps lower. And so they can go, oh, it's still another opportunity to play football. It's not exclusive. You know what I mean? It's not exclusive to players that think they're good enough. You can still come and play. It gives chances to younger lots then of your 18s, your 16s, that they can start and work their way through a system like that. And then just touching on the academy side of things, it gives a connection to education. Then, can you progress further into education of what you'd like to study, but also you want to play football at the same time? You've got an academy, obviously, which we'd have run. So, players will do so well in the academy, they might then get a chance to step into the devs or maybe even the first team in the long run. So I think the more you invest in a club in terms of its steps and its levels, the more benefits you can get as a club, both from more talent identification, a happier club in terms of players. It does not just up, it could be the other way around. You could have first team players that might step into the DEVS for a couple of games to get more game time. You might get players such as Hannah and Connie that have obviously come in from a development setup into a first team from a different club. So having so many setups in so many different clubs, it can only really benefit you rather than obviously make things worse or make it a hindrance. So yeah, I think the more steps you can have in a club, the better, to be honest.
Yeah. Nathan, do you want to come in on that one? Because it's kind of like what we've been saying as well, isn't it? The fact that like you want it to be like a natural progression. You don't want it to be a massive jump, and we shouldn't have to be in a position where players have to go out on loan or lose them for a year or two. It'd be great if they could steps, come through gradually. And I'm a big fan of loans, but unfortunately, that's because I feel like it's the best option. But it shouldn't have to be that way, should it?
Yeah, sorry. What I think, there's one girl now. I mean, it's happened a lot. Few years, they've had to go up into go over to America, like Phoebe Holland, Chloe Broughton, Fran Staples. They've all gone on to America, and I wish them well. I mean, that sort of seems to be the pathway for a lot. Even Emily Murphy, who's in the 19s now for Chelsea, she went to Birmingham and played in the first team, but she still had to go to America. I'm not saying that's a bad option. I would never say that of anyone. I mean, Alessia's done it and come back to us, and she's now our main striker. So for me, I'd like to see a point where, like we were talking about steps and how many steps there are, but I'd like to see a point when we don't have to, girls don't have to go to America and come back. I'd like to. I mean, I think we are semi-seeing it. We're seeing at Reading, they're bringing a lot through. We're seeing at Villa, they're bringing a lot through. But still, I mean, I don't even, like I say, we're talking about Chelsea. The girl played at Birmingham, scored goals in the WSL. And I'm like, obviously, I don't know her full story, but, I'd like to just see a point where Man City, United, Chelsea, Arsenal, they're bringing those girls through, because I think we're seeing it at when was the last? United obviously brought them all back, but who was the last girl that came through at City? I don't know. Who's the last girl that came through at Arsenal? Leah Williamson, and now she's. Who is the last girl at Chelsea? I couldn't tell you. You know what I mean? So I'd like to just see it where it's like one club throughout your career, but. That's just my opinion. We'll have to wait and see if that actually happens. Because, I've asked Rich about it before, and I know he's coming on at some point, but he sort of said when you can go out and buy the best players, you don't have to do that, but I don't know.
Well, that's it. I'll bring Harry in on this one. You mentioned USA. I'll let you just tell me your thoughts on players going to America. What are your thoughts on that? Because we do see a lot of it.
Yeah, I think it can be a good opportunity. It can be quite daunting, I think, for somebody that's 16, 17 to suddenly go away for a year to a completely different country to play football. But it could also be a great opportunity. Yeah, ladies football over in the States is absolutely huge. It's almost like, it's almost their sport. Typically, ladies football is massive. It's good to see, you hear about the national team all the time. To be honest with you, it's that bigged up over there that it's something that obviously they can definitely go in and look at. Maybe not for everybody. Obviously, it could be, you could go over there, like you say, it could be almost too daunting, or could go over there and kind of lose your way a bit, really. But it could also have the complete adverse effect to it. And you love it there, and you end up staying there, or you could literally be either way. But I think if players get the opportunity to do something like that at such a young age, I can't see why not. To be honest with you, I think if I was in that situation, I probably would consider it massively. Myself, if I was like that, purely because it's an opportunity, and I don't think in 5, 6, 7 years' time, if you didn't take that chance, would you be sitting there wishing you did? So yeah, I think definitely, to be honest, it's it's an opportunity that every player should consider if it comes to them. Whether they take it, it's up to them. You know, every other player has a different career path, but I think it could definitely help, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and just a quick one in the comments. Is there anyone? I've lost that player. Oh, it's from Lansel. Is there anyone from your team that could potentially go to the championship? I wouldn't say championship. I think we've got players there at Stourbridge that are at least tier 3. Well, tier 3 players. I mean, I don't know if you want to give anyone a shout out, because I know you might not want to be seen as too biased. I'll shout out 2 or 3 names, and you can just like nod in agreement.
Yeah.
I think Alex Nicklin, fantastic, my player of the season. I think Carly Aldred up front, potentially, and probably Mill Rogers. I'll probably throw that name out there, but I know that there's others that's coming through.
Yeah, like you said, I think without picking favourites, obviously, but there's you know, the vast majority of them are so talented, and we want to be able to show that in the long run. I think we've tested ourselves against tier 3 opposition in obviously Derby. We've played the likes of West Brom now as well, and putting a half decent showing. So I think, you know, for us, it's a very much watch this space. You know, if we get to tier 4 next year, can we compete then as well? You know, we believe as a squad that we definitely can compete. So I think that, you know, with some of the players like that, or the vast majority of them, to be honest with you, there's talent there. There's massive amounts of talent there. There's also talent in our devs, you know, and, you know, not to say, everybody in the club's going to make it to tier 3 or, you know, championship, for example, but, you know, the system we're building and, you know, the levels that we're building within the club are really, really good, and it backs up. We've got, you know, so much depth now, depth being the important word, because if you ever do get players that have injury runs, or, you know, people have lives as well at the end of the day, and people got jobs to do and things like that. So if we can obviously get a depth of talent like that, I can't see why not about 2, 3, maybe 4, even 5 getting, you know, much higher levels, hopefully with us rather than leave. But, you know, there you go.
Awesome. So that just brings us on to our final predictions then. Let's go for some scores and maybe some scorers or something along those lines. Obviously, United are favourites for a reason. Natalie's mentioned all the top players that we've got, and how we know where we are in the league. Only lost once all season, so, you know, I think United are favourites there for a reason. So I will probably go for. They tend to be quite high scoring games as well, don't they? So that's the thing, and that's, you know, no disrespect to Birmingham, but, you know, just going on facts, and, you know,
we beat Tottenham 8-2 the other day, but then we beat Chelsea 4-0. We've beaten Liverpool 10. But I don't think I'm going to go for 3, because I think Blues are going to, you know, I think everyone's looking at United. I think they know everyone's looking at United, not in a disrespectful way, but I just think, like you say, we're obviously the favourites. So, you know, I do think it's not going to be as easy as what we think it. I think we played, like I said, we only won 2-0, and we were very lucky for it to be, you know, Arsenal could have scored a couple. But then we could have scored a couple more. But I do think, you know, it's going to be, you know, 3-0, let's say. Maz, Eleanor and Megan.
Nice. Well, yeah, there's a couple in the comments, 4-1s. That's kind of what I was leaning towards. And the one was just hopeful just to maybe see a Connie or Hannah goal. So, yeah, I'm going to go for a 4-1. I think that's a fair kind of scoreline. Harry, I know you got to be careful what you say here, but
I'll go 3-2 United, but I think Hannah and Connie will get on the score sheet. So that's definitely not me being massively favouritism there, but yeah, there you go, 3-2.
I know you chat to like, obviously the Birmingham coaches. What are their thoughts going into this game very quickly? Like, you know, I'm not saying they're confident. I mean, I'm sure most coaches go in confident and they can do something, but you know, just the vibe obviously around the place, and obviously looking forward to it. It's a massive occasion, and playing Man United. You know, what's the mood around the camp like?
I don't know many details, but you know, I know Mike's certainly excited for it from what I've said, you know, heard and obviously seen. But I think, like you say, I think any kind of occasion like that, you know, regardless, obviously it's a cup competition, it's a final, so it's automatically going to be massive.
Yeah.
You know, I think Having spoken to Hannah and Connie, I know Connie said she's really, really excited for it. But who's going. Of course, you're going to be. So I think regardless, I think it's going to be a really good occasion for either side. Whether Blues win, United win. I think for players that young to be exposed to a final that's like you say, going to be broadcasted as well.
Yeah.
It can only mean good things, regardless of whether you win or lose. I think that will be a milestone in a lot of their careers, their young careers. So it's always good to see, and I think they should be excited.
Excellent, Harry. Thank you very much for coming on. Really, really appreciate it. You've added something to this preview because it could have been so much one-sided. So thank you for coming in and sharing your knowledge on a couple of the Birmingham players.
Thank you very much.
If someone wants to reach out to you on Twitter or social media, have you got any kind of Twitter handles or anything that you can share?
Yeah, so I've got my Twitter handle in the name there. It's pretty much the same. That's mainly what I use, to be honest with you, when it comes to things like football. So if you ever need catch up with Starbridge or anything like that, obviously I'm sure you've seen John tweet about it as well. But good if anybody lives locally, come catch us around at some point. We're always knocking about. But been an absolute pleasure, guys. Thank you very much.
Awesome. And Nat, thank you very much for coming on. It's going to be a great game on Wednesday, and we're going to do a bit of a match reaction show on the Thursday. Miss Laverty is going to be on, so he's going to be obviously at the game, so he's going to be giving his thoughts. Lots of stuff to look forward to, absolutely. Thank you to everybody in the comments today, and we shall see you again soon. Thank you, guys.